Take a look at those passer rating numbers over the last 3 games in which each has played. And we're going to see Warner first because Arizona won the toss. They will receive. And that means as Arizona gets the ball, Ryan Longwell will be kicking off for the Vikings, and Larot Stevens Howling, who ran a kickback 99 yards for a touchdown last week in Tennessee. A rookie from Pittsburgh fields it at the 7-yard line. And Stevens Howling brings it back out to the 28-yard line. Starting left tackle Mike Gandy is out, and that means that Jeremy Bridges, who has been around, 7th year in the league, gets to start at left tackle against this vaunted Minnesota defense. And Warner, a quick drop and throw, and that's the tight end Ben Patrick, who makes the catch at the 35-yard line. As Chris mentioned, Warner playing extremely well this season, and especially so over those last 3 games, with 9 touchdowns and no interceptions, and those were wins against Chicago, Seattle, and at St. Louis. 2nd down and 3. Fitzgerald split wide to the left. Bolden now comes out of the slot on the left. And on the ground, this is Tim Hightower. And Hightower then loses the ball at the 47-yard line. The Vikings jumping around as if they have it, and they do. Mediu Williams, the safety, and Benny Sapp in on the play. Sapp ripped it out. Williams comes up with a recovery on the 2nd play from scrimmage.
The tomahawk from behind, and Benny Sapp filling in for Antoine Winfield comes up with a big play early on. Boy, Arizona and Ken Wisenhunt has to be sick because their running game has been doing so well, but there is no defense for that.
That's Hightower's 4th fumble of the season. He also coughed one up in a key spot early in the game on a Sunday night against Indianapolis in September. 1st and 10 at the 47-yard line. So here is Brett Favre with a lot of Viking fans in attendance. Off play fake, and he throws, and that was tipped and incomplete. Cardinals knocked down a lot of passes at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, Brett Favre comes to the line of scrimmage, and he has a run play and a pass play called. And he is going to try and take a shot at single safety right down the middle of the field. You can see it there, but the Arizona Cardinals, one of the top teams in the league as far as deflecting passes. And the nose tackle, Brian Robinson, got that one.
They're tied for the league lead coming into the weekend. That's their 15th. Robinson with a deflection there. Now Peterson swings to the outside. Percy Harvin is in the backfield, and now they send him into the slot to the left. Favre retreating and throws, and that will be caught, and it should be, depending on the spot, right there, very close to a 1st down. You see Brad Childress in your shot right there as he goes to Harvin, and they line it up and give the 1st down signal.
Well, first things first, you want to do, make sure you protect Brett Favre, and here the Arizona Cardinals, as they usually do, like to bring some pressure, one of the top blitz teams in the league. And yet with Jim Kleinsasser over there playing tight end, but he's essentially the 6th offensive lineman up there. They got the protection part done.
That's Kleinsasser in the slot. Favre on 1st and 10 throws, and that's caught by Sidney Rice. And nobody has benefited more from the acquisition of Brett Favre than Sidney Rice, who was hurt last year. He's in his 3rd year out of South Carolina. And of course, Brett had a little success with another former South Carolina receiver, one Sterling Sharp at Green Bay.
Well, but you're right about Sidney Rice. He has sort of become the poor man's Larry Fitzgerald for the Minnesota Vikings. Not the fastest guy, but just goes up and makes plays on the ball.
Now Chester Taylor comes into the backfield, and Favre slings it to the 20-yard line. Peterson looking for room to turn the corner and never gets there as that defense strings him out. And Clark Higgins is there to make the tackle. No gain. It'll be 3rd down and 4 at the Cardinal 20-yard line.
The game within the game here is Adrian Wilson right here. When he comes up to the line of scrimmage, Brett wants to be throwing the football. This time he didn't make that check, and they run right into it and go nowhere.
3rd and 4. On 3rd down, they normally bring in Chester Taylor, and they do. He's number 29, next to Favre in the backfield. 4-man rush, and then the pass is caught over the middle. Between the hashes, it's Bernard Berrien making the catch, and Dominique Rogers-Cromartie is in on the tackle.
Well, that time the Cardinals defense decides they're going to double team Percy Harvin, so that means you end up one-on-one on the other side with Bernard Berrien, who really was their big play receiver a season ago, but he's been hampered by hamstring injuries this year, but has finally been getting healthy, and they think he's going to come up with some big plays.
Double tight end set here. Taylor is the back. And here is Chester Taylor, who plays about a third of the time, with Peterson, of course, the other 2/3. And it'll be 2nd down, as Hightower can only look and hope that his defense can hold him to it, at worst, a field goal attempt.
Well, you know, it's interesting that the game last year that these two teams played started off exactly like this. The Cardinals kept turning the ball over early in the game, and ultimately the Minnesota Vikings blew them out, and that was with Tavares Jackson playing quarterback, who had one of his biggest days.
Brett closing in on 3,000 yards. This is the 9th play of this drive, coming off the Cardinal fumble. And it's given to Percy Harvin, and the rookie turns the corner and then dives and is out of bounds shy of the goal line. Matt Ware was able for the moment to save the touchdown. There's a Viking who's hurt on the play, but it will be a 1st down, and that's Phil Lodeholt, who is the rookie right tackle.
Watch Percy Harvin come motion back in the backfield. Remember, he played running back at the University of Florida. They've been converting him to wide receiver. He's learning how to play receiver, but he already knows how to play running back, and he showed it there. He is so quick coming off that edge, and of course, that was a big risk just drafting him this year.
Injury timeout with Lodeholt down. And there goes Lodeholt, taken back to the locker room. Ryan Cook comes in at right tackle. 3 tight end set. 1st and goal, and Favre will swing it to the corner of the end zone, and it is out of bounds. It is Visante Shanko who turns around and says, I thought I got both feet in, but he didn't. 2 officials right there to rule he was out of bounds as he made the catch. That close to a touchdown. Hightower holding onto the football.
Well, let's see if he got it down. Shanko's been one of the leading touchdown receiving tight ends in the league. Clearly that, I think if that 2nd foot wasn't a touchdown, wasn't out of bounds, I think that one's a touchdown, because his left foot was down when he made the catch. The right one came down. The 3rd foot was essentially the one that went out of bounds,
and
I thought.
Childress sees the same thing and throws the flag.
Right
when does
there,
he have possession?
That foot's down. That foot's down.
Minnesota's challenged the previous play of an incomplete pass versus a touchdown.
Taking a look at it, we're pretty sure this is going to be ruled a touchdown. The call will be overturned. He has control of it right there, and there's 1 foot down. There's your 2nd foot down, and then he steps out of bounds at that point. He tries to drag the left foot, but didn't have to. And we're pretty sure this is going to be overturned, and Minnesota's going to have the lead. This would be his 9th touchdown reception of the season, and 16 over the last 2 years. John Parry.
After reviewing the play, the receiver had possession with the left foot inbounds, then the right foot inbounds, and the 3rd foot was the left foot, which was out of bounds. Therefore, it is a touchdown. Minnesota is not charged with the team timeout.
Hightower's fumble leading to a 47-yard drive, 10 plays, good balance with 4 rushes and 6 passes, and a lot of snowbirds are down here.
With funny hats.
Yeah.
Boy, Visante Shanko, though, here's a guy I kind of just considered him the blocking tight end with the New York Giants, and he's coming over here, and they're flanking him out as a wide out. He's catching all kinds of touchdowns. He has really been a difference maker.
Well, they have 3 really good receivers, wide outs, and now you've got Shanko, and he leads the team in touchdown receptions. Long off of the point after. Brett Favre has just thrown his 25th touchdown pass of the season as Minnesota takes a 7-0 lead. Here's Brett's reaction as John Parry makes the call after checking out the replay. Ever exuberant.
You know, if you're having that much fun playing football, why would you ever retire? You can think about it, but why would you ever really do it?
I said that to him before the game on the field tonight. You know, I mean, with Brett, it's always been, you know, through the years, I'm thinking about it, I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And it became, you know, sort of a joke in a way. And there is Jim Marshall, the man whose record Brett had shared after last week's game. The great defensive lineman, and the Vikings brought him in to watch Brett eclipse that long-standing mark. Stevens howling from the 4-yard line. And there's a marker down, so it would be a pretty good run back. In all likelihood, will be coming back. And indeed it will.
During the return, holding numbers 87 of the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down, Arizona.
It's really remarkable how much this team has struggled at home. The team that had been historically so bad on the road fixed their road problems this year. They lost to Tennessee last week, but before that, I think undefeated. And yet when they come home, they make mistakes like this, and big mistakes. We saw them against Indianapolis early this year, and the same sort of thing. They just sort of self-destruct early in ball games.
They've exercised their road demons with wins, especially the one at the Giants in late October. Tim Hightower and Stevens howling. We're in the backfield. Stevens howling now, flanking to the right, and Warner throws underneath, and that's caught by Anquan Bolden. And back to pass is Warner, and he hits Bolden as Bolden is able to spin around, takes it to the outside, got position on Benny Sapp, who's playing for the injured Antoine Winfield, and that's a big loss for them, 19 yards.
The timing between Kurt Warner and these receivers just remarkable. Bolden knew exactly when Kurt Warner was going to throw that football, whips around the back shoulder. As a defensive back, I don't know what you do with that. And when Kurt Warner and these two receivers get hot and get that sort of timing going, it is almost impossible to stop.
First and 10 at the 41-yard line. And now this is Beanie Wells, the rookie out of Ohio State, and Beanie Wells will have a first down. Well, you saw the Hightower fumble. Chris mentioned the running game is better this year. There's no question. But one of the reasons that Wells has been in and out of the lineup and on the bench a lot is his fumbling problem.
Well, let's look at some of the interior line play here. Reggie Wells right here going up against maybe the best defensive tackle in all of football in Kevin Williams, and that's getting it done right there. Arizona Cardinals over the past 4 or 5 games have proven that they can run the football, and as we well know, that has been a problem area in the past, as have been flags here.
Meanwhile, they just called Arizona for too many men in the huddle. A 12th man was in the huddle as they were lined up, and the Viking D was in there, so that's an automatic 5-yard march off, and we'll make it first down and 15 now, back in Arizona territory at the 47-yard line. And not able to get out of the backfield this time is Beanie Wells, as E.J. Henderson, the middle linebacker, is able to stop him there. That's a loss of 2. It'll be second down and 17.
So far, everything on that play sheet's working out pretty well over there for Brett Favre. But this is not going to be one of those games, Al, where it's going to be 7-0, 7-3. You know, we did Pittsburgh and Baltimore last week. And I think this one's going to be a little different.
I'm with you. 2 potent offenses, but that Minnesota defense is tremendous. Number 1 against the run. Second down and 17 as Warner has time and then has it batted, and that is incomplete. It's batted by Pat Williams, part of the fabled Williams wall. Pat and Kevin, the unrelated Williams, in the middle, and now Deuce Latouille is hurt, so they're already minus Mike Gandy, the left tackle, and now Latouille needs a moment to get back up, the right guard.
Well, if you're going to beat the Vikings, you're going to have some help over here on Jared Allen, and right there it is. Ben Patrick and this 2 tight end formation is going to be one of the base looks tonight. They are not going to let Jared Allen get after Jeremy Bridges, the backup left tackle.
So it'll be 3rd and 17 now. Because they had to stop the clock for the injury, Latui wanted to stay in, but he can't. You have to come out for one play, unless Brandon Keith will have to come in, number 72, and at least for one play right guard. 3rd and 17. Four-man rush. Warner stepping away, has to throw underneath, and he checks it down to Bolden. That'll take it to the 45-yard line and leave them with a 4th down and 7. And the Vikings, as you know, they get tremendous pressure with just the front four.
Yeah, and it makes it so tough. Kurt Warner does such a great job when you try and blitz him. He actually invites the blitz. He wants to see it because it creates those one-on-one situations. But it doesn't matter what happens when you're 3rd down and 20. You're just not going to convert many of those.
Ben Graham to do the booting. Darius Renaud is calling for a fair catch and makes it at the 9-yard line. And now they'll start with an empty backfield from the 9-yard line. Favre with 4 wide here, throwing, and that is broken up at the 19-yard line, intended for Rice, and broken up by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
You know, Al, what's really interesting about Brett Favre is everybody knows he's a great player, but the one thing that he always had was that gunslinger mentality. He was going to be one of those guys you just had to live with the interceptions because you're going to enjoy the good part of all the chances that he took. But 8 touchdowns to 1 interception ratio is by far not even close to the best that he's ever had in his career, and he's age 40.
Already thrown one tonight. And through the middle goes Chester Taylor, and he'll get bounced back as he crosses the 10-yard line, led by Carlos Dansby. And when you look at that Cardinal defense, you've got Darnell Dockett 90, Dansby 58, and Adrian Wilson 24, the 3 key guys.
And this was an Arizona defense that was stung a week ago by Vince Young. They had that one won on the road and allowed Vince Young to go 99 yards for the game winner at the end of the game. But Carlos Dansby was out on that particular drive with an injury.
Vince Young won the game with no time left on the clock on a 4th down play. 3rd and 8. And Favre under pressure, still able to step up, throws on the run, and the pass is incomplete. Brett through the years has been so proficient when he's moving forward, and that time the pass is a little bit low, the coverage is good, and it's a 3 and out to the delight of this very loud crowd.
Boy, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is one of those guys. As he gains more experience, I think he could end up being the best corner in the game. This guy, back-to-back plays there, had man coverage all over the field against one of the fastest receivers for the Vikings and ate him up both times.
Chris Cluey to do the punting. Steve Breaston will run it back for Arizona. High angle boot, good distance. Fielded at the 35-yard line. Breaston has a seam. Breaston into Viking territory. Breaston with only Cluey to beat at the moment. Going down the sideline, gets tackled at the 1-yard line. Jamarcus Sanford saved the touchdown, and they'll spot the ball at the 2. 1st and goal after a 64-yard run back and a 55-yard punt.
How about the Arizona Cardinals and the way they've been playing on special teams the last couple of weeks? Kickoff return for a touchdown last week. This big punt return, they had 3 punts that they downed inside the 5-yard line. Sometimes you have to rely on that 3rd phase of the game to win football games for you, and what a huge play that was.
And there he steps out of bounds. It's the position of the ball as he steps out of bounds, and they'll mark it at the 2-yard line. And Arizona with a chance to tie the game. 1st and goal from the 2. Hightower is the back. And he's offset. 3 receivers to the left. They break that now with Bolden coming back to the left side. Takes the pass, and Bolden gets in for the touchdown. Nicely designed play, going trips left, having Bolden go in motion and swinging back to the outside and coming out of the slot to score.
Just something that looked like it was going to be a pick, but wasn't. Anquan Bolden is going to go in behind the other two receivers, and you could see the outside guy, Breston, I think it was, going like he was going to pick the linebacker, Chad Greenway, but never did. Just sort of ran right through there, never laid his hand on him, but created enough of a lane for the touchdown.
That's a pick your poison for the defense when you have Fitzgerald, Bolden, and Breston all lined up together. Rackers for the extra point. Rackers with a bouncing ball. It's fielded at the 10-yard line. Percy Harvin, their #1 draft choice out of Florida, to the 36-yard line. Let's go back to the Arizona touchdown.
Well, for Kurt Warner, he knew that he was coming to his, I'm going to call him fullback, Anquan Bolden. He never took his eyes off him. They're just going to flip it out with those two receivers in front. And Anquan Bolden, just simply one of the toughest guys in the game. He just happens to play wide receiver, but there's no way anybody's keeping him out of the end zone from there.
Adrian Peterson is the back here. He did not play in the last series, which was a 3-and-out. But with Taylor on all 3 plays. Ball is at the 36-yard line. First down. Peterson swinging to the right side. And that right side still minus Phil Lodeholt with that injured shoulder listed as questionable. And remember, the backup right guard is there as well in Artis Hicks. Loss of 1, second down and 11.
I tell you, the Arizona Cardinals are being really bold at the line of scrimmage right now. They're bringing Adrian Wilson right down the line of scrimmage. They're clearly trying to take away Adrian Peterson in this running game. And the key thus far has been the fact that Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie has been able to cover the receiver on this side one-on-one.
Bill Davis, first year as the defensive coordinator. On second and 11, they'll try Peterson to the left side, and he steps out of a tackle and turns a loss into a small gain. Michael Adams almost had him for what would have been a 3-yard loss, and they will call it no gain and make it third down and 11.
Arizona believes in bringing pressure off the edge. This time it's Michael Adams, a cornerback who's just going to split the gap and make the play on Peterson. The one thing, if you watch enough Arizona Cardinals games, they're going to take chances. They're going to try and give you negative plays in the backfield. That's how they feel like they can win defensively.
It will be third and 11, and now
wow,
you've got Bryant McKinney, the left tackle, who's going to limp off. So at the moment, they are going on the offensive front without 3 would-be starters. Hutchinson is still at left guard. John Cooper now comes in, number 68. And Hicks, I think, is going to move over to left guard here. He is.
And Al, what's significant is the teams only play with 7 offensive linemen, so they only have 5 healthy at this point. They cannot afford another injury.
Hicks at left tackle, and they'll keep it on the ground, and this will be Chester Taylor to the 38-yard line. So they've got to figure out how they're going to get that interior back in here, as McKinney appears to be okay. Lodeholt, though, is back in the locker room, and Herrera is inactive tonight.
I mean, isn't it amazing that you talk about the Vikings and the fact they've really been sort of injury-free throughout the course of this year, and here they are now getting hit hard at one position, and that's what really kills you on a football team, to get hit hard at one position. This takes away so much.
Chloe had a 55-yarder that was run back by Breston to the 2-yard line. This one is a shorter one. Breston comes up and then he lets it go, and that turns out to be a break for the Vikings because the ball will bound all the way down to the 7-yard line. Hightower and Jason Wright are in the backfield behind Warner as they begin this drive from the 7-yard line. And Kurt's going to swing it deep down the sideline, and Larry Fitzgerald is covered by Benny Sapp. The ball is a little underthrown, and it will be second down and 10.
Kurt Warner to Larry Fitzgerald, so hot in the playoffs last year, have yet to have a pass play of over 40 yards this year, and I'm surprised Larry Fitzgerald didn't turn his hands the other way. Usually you see Larry stick his hands up over the top of his head, and I think if he had, he might have made that play. It was a little bit inside But that's one of those throws you have to keep making to Larry Fitzgerald. Keep giving him those chances because he's so good at going up over the top and making plays.
Sapp, a man in the crosshairs tonight because of Antoine Winfield out again. And this pass is thrown over the middle to the 15 where Steve Breaston makes the catch. It'll be 3rd down and 2. The Vikings have been stellar defensively for a number of years. Of course, that front four is fabulous. 3 of the guys go to the Pro Bowl every year, the 2 Williamses and Jared Allen. And then, of course, that begins to free up the other defensive end, Ray Edwards, who has 6.5 sacks. They've got Henderson back on defense. And, of course, when Winfield is in the secondary, that does make a big difference, too. 3rd down and 2. From the 15-yard line. And Warner with good protection and then throws. That will be juggled and caught. And holding on to it is Anquan Bolden. And he signals 1st down. And he ain't lying. Asher Allen, a rookie out of Georgia, covering on the play.
Well, usually they rush 4. Sometimes they take the biggest guy on the field and drop him into coverage as well. Here is one of the largest nose tackles around, Pat Williams, trying to get in that hidden spot where the quarterback doesn't expect to see him. But Kurt Warner's been around the bend a few times too, and he saw it.
Beanie Wells is the running back. Drafted in the 1st round out of Ohio State. Wells cannot get around the corner. That's a great tackle by E.J. Henderson, who did that earlier as well. And that turns what might have been a 10 or 12 or 15-yard gain into a 2-yard gain.
And Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator, loves what he's been seeing out of E.J. Henderson. He said the last few weeks now, we're starting to see the E.J. Henderson we saw before he had that reconstructive foot surgery. So now these linebackers, young, talented, Chad Greenway, E.J. Henderson, you're starting to see them fly around and make plays the way they thought they could when they were drafted.
Frazier, one of those guys who's been interviewed for head coaching jobs in the past, and I'm sure will be again in the future. Here's Hightower. And Hightower gets taken down at the 20-yard line. And when you talk about a Viking defensive coordinator, well, 3 years ago, the Viking defensive coordinator was a fellow by the name of Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, Leslie Frazier, you talked about him. Here's a guy that was interviewed for 3 different jobs a season ago to be the head coaching candidate, the Broncos, Rams, and Lions. And without question, he is going to be on a very short list of guys this year as well. He's ready to coach in the NFL.
Teams will change sides as the clock ticks down to the end of the quarter, and the second period will begin with Arizona at its own 20 and a 3rd down and 9. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer start the second quarter. 3rd down and 9 at the 20-yard line is Warner. Out of the gun, under pressure, stepping up, and that pass is incomplete, but there's a flag, 2 of them in fact, that come in from the secondary. John Parry, the referee.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the defense. Holding, number 56, penalties decline. Illegal use of hands, hands to the face. Number 22, that penalty's been accepted. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Penalty there is on Benny Sapp, and Brad Childress just wants to check out Phil Lodeholt. You saw Lodeholt, who was back having his shoulder examined, and Brad wants to check him out on the bench.
Well, sometimes you get a little sick of playing against Larry Fitzgerald, so you just give him a shot to the face there to slow him down a bit. Sapp probably the more physical of the 2 corners on the outside. Cedric Griffin a little bit more of a turn and run guy, but clearly Benny Sapp wants to gain an advantage at the line of scrimmage, and that time got caught.
From the 25. Warner has that one batted. Second pass batted tonight by the Vikings. Jimmy Kennedy bats it. Second down and 10, and that pass is caught by Larry Fitzgerald, who's fighting his way through, and with a tremendous effort takes it out to the 40-yard line. Broke away initially from Benny Sapp and then drags half of the Vikings defense with him for a gain of 16 yards.
Probably the hardest working wideout in the game today. Larry Fitzgerald takes such great pride, not only catching that ball with his hands, but you better get him on the ground Well, that time Jimmy Kennedy came over and wiped out all the tacklers and cleared the way. Here's what Jared Allen's seeing on the other side. No way they're giving him a one-on-one shot against Jeremy Bridges. That time Hightower with the chip.
First down 41. Wells is the back. And here goes Beanie Wells of a right guard. Up to the 45. Gain of 4. We talked about the Arizona rushing game. Last year, they averaged 3.5 yards per carry. Doing much better this year, up in the 4s. And part of it has been Beanie Wells. And over the last 5 games, it's the highest 5-game average for the Cardinals since 1985 when they were in St. Louis.
140 yards rushing the last 4 games after averaging just 65 yards a game in the first 7. So they've really turned it around.
2nd and 5 at the 45. And through the middle goes Beanie Wells. Flag is down. Looked like it's going to be a hold. The Vikings might have been offside, but it's a hold against Arizona.
Number 89, offense, 10-yard penalty, replay, 2nd down.
Backup tight end Ben Patrick.
Well, this is the old Pittsburgh formation that they use, and Ben Patrick coming back across the grain. He's going to try and help on Jared Allen here. I guess they're calling that hand there outside the frame a bit. I don't know. I couldn't really see it from that angle. Boy, if Arizona could just stay away from some of these mistakes, they've really done pretty well, but they've just sort of beaten themselves.
They have outgained Minnesota 95 to 51 in yardage. Minnesota with a 47-yard opening drive after the Hightower fumble. And now Warner has it by the shirt, and with a left hand he's going to throw. That was Henderson again who's making his presence felt. And Henderson is going to take it for the moment into the end zone, but Kurt Warner was able to get it away with the left hand. The Vikings now looking around going,
ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. 3rd down.
This is exactly what Jared Allen was talking to us about last night, that you have to tackle the arm of Kurt Warner, because if you don't, he switches the ball to his other hand and throws it with his left hand to get the incompletion. I think that's a good call.
Yep.
There's Anquan Boldin there, and you see just Kurt Warner creating a play because they didn't get to his arm. That was the game plan tonight.
And you can throw with either arm, obviously.
I can't. I can't throw with either arm.
See, you can't call that grounding, because what happens if you have an ambidextrous quarterback some days?
That's exactly right.
3rd down and 15. Warner, look out. Hit as he throws, and it's caught for a 1st down. Anquan Boldin, and Kurt able to hang right in there with the pressure on him. Medea Williams came in on a safety blitz and plants Warner as he gets the pass away. Great pass under these circumstances.
Here comes Medea from out here, but watch what Tim Hightower does to him. Picks him up brilliantly. The second blitzer gets there, but not in time. That's what happens when you play against Kurt Warner. You want to pressure him, but he's just so adept at getting that ball out at the last moment, willing to take the shot, and he took one there.
Warner is 9 out of 13, and Warner is going to air it out for Fitzgerald, and Larry can't get position on the play, and it's incomplete. Medea Williams covering on the play with Fitzgerald, and he had that phenomenal postseason run and became a megastar in a month in postseason and really came into the public consciousness. But one thing about him, everybody knows he's got speed. Everybody knows he has phenomenal hands. He almost never drops it. But, Chris, they're having a hard time getting it deep to him because they're just playing the safeties back.
Yeah, and if they would allow me a few suggestions, I have a few ideas of how they might be able to get him the ball. I think that because safeties are so rolled out all the time. Oh, here's Antrell Roll here on the Wildcat.
The Wildcat, that's Roll. There's a defensive back. He fakes the handoff. He can throw the ball, but he's under some pressure here. And Roll is inside the 40 and takes it to the 38-yard line. So Roll, who couldn't get the ball away after the fake give, coverage was good in the secondary, is still able to squirt his way for a big gain to make it 3rd and 1.
It looked like Antrell Roll was going to try and throw that ball all the way back across the field. We did a game earlier where we saw him throw the ball about 70 yards. The Cardinals will tell you he can throw it farther than that. He can throw it about 90 yards. all the way on the backside of the play. Here's Preston's going to run the route. He tried to get back there to him. Pretty good coverage on the backside, so Roll just made up something on his own, and it was brilliant.
First career rush for him, 3rd down and 1 now. And on the ground, getting planted, is Hightower. Pat Williams is right there. That is a stuff job.
Well, they call it the Williams wall, and you can tell why here. Pat Williams right over Lyle's sin line, and it is hard to move that guy. The Arizona Cardinals, if they have a weakness, it's trying to run the football in 3rd and 1 situations, and just couldn't get it done against these guys, and not many people can.
Run into that wall, you're at the Wailing Wall when he's finished with you. 4th and 2 with 10 and a half left in the half. And now the Vikings are saying Jason Wright moved.
Number 31.
And he did.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
You know, you want to stay patient with that running game. You want to give it a chance. But this might not be the game to give it a chance. There just aren't many people that can run the football against this team, and there hasn't been over the past 3 or 4 years. There's a reason they send their whole defensive line to the Pro Bowl.
Here's Graham. Nose down, end over end boot. Fair caught, 8-yard line. And the Vikings begin this drive from the 9-yard line. And this is Adrian Peterson. It's only his 5th carry of the night. And they've gone for 5 yards, no yards, -1, 0, and 4. Adrian Peterson, in his 3rd year out of Oklahoma, averaging over 100 yards a game, averaging over 5 yards per rush, 42 big runs. And those are the types of numbers put up by somebody like Jim Brown, but 19 fumbles. And that's become a big issue. 2nd down and 6. And it's swung to the outside, and that's Harvin trying to spin away. And he's tackled by Rogers Cromartie. And short gain. Brett Favre, meanwhile, has not thrown a pass, an interception in his last 143 passes, so yet another mark for Brett. That's the longest interception-free streak of that career.
It's hard to believe in 19 years he's going to set all his records in his 19th at age 40.
3rd and 3. And Favre will swing it deep downfield, and it is incomplete. Sidney White's the intended receiver. Bryant McFadden with the coverage. It'll be 4th down.
Same sort of deal with Sidney Rice, a guy that's not the fastest, but he's going to try and win the battle vertically here. Pretty good play on the outside by Bryant McFadden. Did he get there a little early? I would say so. I think that's one that could have easily been called pass interference, but this time the break goes to the defender.
Chris Cluey will punt. Preston from the 36-yard line. Well, for years you've been looking at shots of Brenda Warner, and it began back in that magical '99 season. The Warners now with 7 children. Kurt was telling us most of the kids, they're into other stuff. A lot of times they don't even come to the game.
Yeah, football, we see that all the time.
Right. Beanie Wells is the running back from the 42-yard line. They're going to give it to Breston on the end around. And Breston with a 1st down. And all the way to the 40-yard line. Larry Fitzgerald was able to spring him with a nice block, and that turns out to be a 19-yard gain.
Sometimes when you get defenses that really like to pursue to the ball, they can over-pursue. Larry Fitzgerald on the outside, battling the whole way. That's great for a wide receiver to try and hold that block that long. Awfully tough. Jared Allen tried to catch it from the backside, and they got around him.
Block Cedric Griffin out of the play. The ball is at the 39-yard line. And Warner throws, and adjusting is Bolden. What a catch. What an adjustment. What a touchdown.
We talked about the timing earlier in the game. Watch this one. Bolden with about 6 inches on the sideline to work. There's absolutely no way Cedric Griffin thought he could get the ball in there. So instead of going back shoulder like they usually do, they cut in front of Griffin and hit it for the touchdown. That's remarkable. There was nowhere to throw that ball. Great quarterbacks make completions to covered receivers. That's the difference in the top-end quarterbacks in this league.
Third touchdown reception of the season for Anquan Bolden. And this is a short kick that gets fielded by Jeff Dugan, a tight end. Back to the touchdown we go.
I don't care how many yards Tim Hightower rushes for tonight. He has played a great game so far. Watch him pick up this blitzing linebacker, Chad Greenway here, stymies him completely to give Brett Favre time. But maybe the biggest block was Jeremy Bridges on the outside, the backup tackle. Watch number 73, gets just enough for Warner to get it off. And then comes my favorite part. Here he comes, says a little something there, then says, yeah, there's a touchdown down there while you're on your back. That's right, I'm a backup.
Minnesota went 10 plays on his first drive to a touchdown, followed that with 3 3-and-outs, and then they get the ball to Peterson. So that's their first down since their opening drive as they throw it to Adrian, and Adrian Wilson makes the tackle for the Cardinals.
You ever see a basketball game where a team is struggling a little bit and they say, let's get the ball back in the hands of our superstars? They just did that. They found Adrian Peterson there.
Fun tonight. You got a 40-year-old quarterback and a 38-year-old quarterback. Just speculation. If I had to guess, I think Warner retires before Favre. What do you think?
I don't know that either one of them's ever going to retire. They're playing pretty well out here.
From the 47-yard line on first down. And Favre will hand the ball off to Peterson. You know, the one thing that a lot of people who know Brett are happy about, and look, those of us in the media, we understand the fixation, and you know, Brett's been a bit of a sacred cow through the years. We get it. We understand this stuff. But it was dispiriting to see the way it looked like his whole reputation was going down the drain for a while. He was becoming the butt of a lot of jokes. Will I retire? Won't I retire? And he played it out for so long, and now you've got this coming out the other side. It's pretty amazing.
We'll talk more about it here in 1 second.
Second down and 9 with the ball at the 46-yard line. And that is caught. Coming to the inside is Percy Harvin. And that will be a first down.
Here's what people did not consider, was that Brett just got hurt. You know, when you're an older player and you have an injury like he had last year with the Jets, it's, oh, he's too old, he's got to retire, get out of here, we've seen enough, you should have retired and stayed that way. What happened was Brett had a great year, 11 games, was tremendous, got hurt, had a poor end of the season, and everybody dismissed him.
From the 36-yard line on first down. Fake to Peterson, pass to Peterson. And he gets taken down by Rodgers. Camardi. But I think clearly, Chris, a lot of people just said, hey, look, you've been putting us through this for years. Because the thing about Brett is you go back to 04, 05, and he was talking about retiring then. And people just at a certain point say, enough already.
I hear you, but you know, he never got to go to the team that he wanted to go to. The Green Bay Packers let him go. But they also dictated that he couldn't go to the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings is where he wanted to go all along, but the Packers arranged it so he couldn't. So then when he got released by the Jets, they became available, and it didn't surprise me at all because he recognized the kind of talent on this team.
Second down and 8. They set up a screen pass, and this is Chester Taylor, and he'll take the ball to the 22. Here's Peterson to the short side of the field with a nice run. And that's Tahi, the fullback, with a block, and that will take the ball to the 11-yard line and set up another first down for Minnesota.
Well, it looks like Phil Lodeholt is feeling okay here, at least good enough to block on a cornerback. Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, not a big guy. So what do? You want to put him in position to have to make some tackles. And as you could see there, he wasn't really too interested in taking on a tackle, trying to get hold of Adrian Peterson after that.
Taylor is in the backfield. Give it to him. And he takes it about half the distance to the goal line. Ball will be spotted at the 5. Calais Campbell making the tackle.
We're seeing
some 4.
Yes, excuse me, Al. We're seeing some backups making some good plays in here. Check out Artis Hicks coming around here and making a block this time. This is not supposed to be his strong suit, but that was pretty good. No question about it. Anthony Herrera, one of the better offensive linemen, especially run blocking up front, but Artis Hicks with a nice play.
2nd and 4. They've got Greg Lewis in the game. Wide to the left. He was the hero of the San Francisco game early in the season. Peterson will swing to the outside, and then he falls down as he tries to make the cut. 3rd down upcoming.
I think Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie had a little better plan that time coming off the edge. I think that's Cromartie. Excuse me, that's Bryant McFadden coming off that edge this time. Watch how he plays it differently. Go in there and take out the tackle and the fullback, and you get nothing.
3rd and 4. Favre 10 out of 14. 78 yards. And a little shovel pass. And that gets read beautifully by Alan Branch, number 78, who just stood his ground. When it looked like Taylor may be off to the end zone, it was Branch making the play and setting up a probable field goal attempt.
Well, if anything, right here, Artis Hicks may have made too good a block, because when he kept Branch out of there, he ended up falling right into the play.
Kluwe puts it down, and the kick is good. The Cardinals have a 4-point lead, and they'll get the football as it's fielded at the 14-yard line. Jason Wright brings him down to the 23-yard line. Cards go 4 wide here, and that's something they do more than any team in the league by far. And you have a flag for an offside. The ball gets tipped, and for the moment it is intercepted by Terrell Johnson, but it appeared that the Vikings were offside, and indeed they were, so that won't count.
Offside, number 91 of the defense. 5-yard penalty, will replay, 1st down.
Ray Edwards.
That hurts, but it did look from here like he jumped off sides. Edwards on the outside, and then Levi Brown reacted to that. I don't think there's any question. Nice call by the official. And also a good call not calling that unabated to the quarterback, because Levi got there and gave the Cardinals a chance for a free play.
1st and 5 at the 28-yard line.
Okay.
And that's a pass that's caught out in the flat by Hightower. He'll step out of bounds. You know, you look at that Brad Childress headset. The league has a deal. You're supposed to wear those Motorola headsets. But Brad said he went to the Mayo Clinic, and he said, look, I'm having a little trouble hearing. So the practitioner there said, are you in a place where there's a lot of noise? He said, well, only for the last 30 years. So they had this jury rigged for him, but it looks like something that Rube Goldberg would have come up with.
Yeah, but he said he just can't hear, and he has to leave one ear open, and that was his good ear, so he put the microphone on the other ear and is doing the best he can.
From the 36-yard line on 1st down, Warner throws it underneath. And that's Henderson riding Larry Fitzgerald to the ground at the 37-yard line. 2nd and 8. Vikings showed blitz and then back off. Warner swings it to the outside, and that is Early Doucette, who was hurt earlier this season but has now worked his way back into the lineup and has become the number 4 wideout, and that'll be a 1st down.
How tough is it to be a great pass rusher in this league? Check out what Tim Hightower, the running back, is going to do to Jared Allen here. Bam. I mean, they are not going to let him get there. But there are single blocks elsewhere, so we're going to find out. Can Ray Edwards make plays? Can Kevin Williams make plays? Somebody else needs to step up with this pass rush, because so far the Cardinals are doing a nice job.
Jared Allen with those 12.5 sacks in the first 11 games of the season. There's not been a sack on either side tonight. And then Warner fires, and Fitzgerald gets open and breaks a tackle and goes out of bounds at the 33-yard line.
Two-man coverage here as Asher Allen, the nickel man right here, is going to have to try and cover Larry Fitzgerald. Now, in this coverage, you don't have to worry about him going deep, so you just trail underneath him. That time he got forced inside, and Fitzgerald made the break outside.
20-yard gain, first down. The ball is at the 34-yard line. And Warner has Fitzgerald wide open for a Cardinal touchdown. And his dad, Larry Sr., in the press box, covering the game, just watches his boy with a 34-yard reception and a touchdown.
There we go. The protection was perfect again. That time they got frustrated. They brought the blitz, and there's no way Mediu Williams on the back end in single coverage is going to be able to hold up. It's not even close. Great read by Kurt Warner, but a better job with the protection. Allowed him to hold the ball and make the play downfield.
Rackers for the point after. Now Rackers for the kickoff, and he's been bothered by a sore groin, and that kick is short. And Jeff Dugan will run that ball back to the 29-yard line.
Boy, remember when the Arizona Cardinals were considered weak up front? But when you consider what these guys have done in this game, and more often than not, they have done it without a lot of help because they like to play those 3 and 4 wide receivers on the outside. But we talked to Kurt yesterday, and he said, I don't care. He said, I trust my guys. I don't care that it's Jeremy Bridges. I can't do anything. I've got the concussion. But go out there and play and trust these guys. And so far, it's been well-founded.
First down, 29. Favre. He has time, and he has to check it down and swing it out. Peterson makes the catch, and he gets tackled at the 36-yard line. The Vikings have all of their timeouts.
Just get the feeling that this thing is going to come down to a shootout between these two great quarterbacks, don't you?
Well, you knew, as you said at the beginning, it wasn't going to be 7-0.
Pretty important here for the Vikings to get one on the board, something on the board.
And that's Berrien who makes the catch, and then he spins away to the outside, and that stops the clock with a first down at the 44-yard line. 43 ticks left.
It's interesting talking to Adrian Wilson. The one thing they were really disappointed about last week when Vince Young put together that 99-yard drive was that they didn't protect the sidelines better. They let him get the ball completed and get out of bounds, and so far in this drive they're allowing the same thing.
Four-man rush. Favre throws, and it's almost intercepted. And speaking of Adrian Wilson, all he can do is just lay out and think, oh, there went 6.
I'm not sure if Brett ever saw Adrian Wilson on this one. He was way out here, but he ends up crossing all the way over here and picking up Shanko. Shanko may not have known he was there either, and boy, he was a half a step away from scoring a touchdown there.
It's Calais Campbell who comes in and put the heat on Brett as Favre now has to swing it to the left side, and that play doesn't go anywhere. Adrian Peterson was the intended receiver, and that's going to make it 3rd down and 10.
Well, we haven't seen many teams so far this year shut down this offense. This is a team that I think they have 7 games this year of 30 points or more, and so far Arizona's been mixing up the coverages, bringing some pressure, and that guy right there, Adrian Wilson, has been disguising things pretty well.
And you saw Adrian Peterson, who's on the sideline on a 3rd and 10, because that's when Chester Taylor comes into the backfield. And Favre fakes it to Taylor and then throws. That's incomplete. And now you have a flag in the backfield. You had Phil Lodeholt was there and Calais Campbell, and the flag came into that area.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offensive holding, number 71. Pass interference, number 58. Those penalties will offset. Replay, 3rd down.
And all that means is it takes a few seconds off the clock, and we're down to 30 seconds on a 3rd and 10.
Talk about a versatile player. Carlos Dansby is the free safety. He's a linebacker. He's 20 yards off the ball, breaks up on this throw to Shanko and just gets there too early. He was really going for the ball, but went through the shoulder of Shanko and got the call.
3rd and 10. Favre under some pressure. The ball is underthrown and thrown out of bounds as well. Sidney Rice, the intended receiver, and now Arizona is going to get the ball with a little bit of time left. Not that they're going to need him, but they'll have those 2 timeouts. Ken Wisenhunt and Brad Childress. And for Childress, a guy kind of on a hot seat. He was 6-10, then he was 8-8, then he was 10-6, but lost the playoff game last year to Philadelphia. And for Ken Wisenhunt, a guy who has really changed the culture and is in the process of changing the image of this entire franchise. Cooley's kick. Cardinals are going to let it bounce, and it takes a good Minnesota hop because it doesn't go into the end zone. And the ball is down at the 4-yard line with 12 seconds. Kneel down will end an entertaining first half.
You know, it's amazing. There's been no sacks in this game. The Vikings came in, the leading sack team in the NFL, and the Cards were on their best sack streak since 1984 with 24 sacks over the last 7 games.
And really not that much pressure, period, as Rackers boots the ball through the back of the end zone. Peterson and company coming out, and Arizona not only out passing Minnesota but out rushing them as well. Arizona averaging 5.1 yards per rush, and Minnesota just 3.3. That one turnover by Arizona was a costly one. Hightower's fumble on the second play from scrimmage turned into a 47-yard touchdown drive for Minnesota. Favre goes to work in the second half. Protection very good. Pass is right on target. Percy Harvin, first down, and we check in with Andrea Kramer. Andrea.
Well, I talked to a very honest Brad Childress, who said we lacked energy in the first half. He said he talked to the team about that. He said we have got to get our tempo out. They are beating us in that way. He said they have to dog and blitz more to get pressure on Kurt Warner. They have to run Adrian Peterson north and south.
And we'll see if they do that here on this first drive as they begin with a pass, and then they give him to Adrian Peterson, who kind of runs north by northwest for a gain of maybe 2. Second down and 8.
Well, one of the defensive linemen that has really made a difference this year for this defense is Calais Campbell. A big guy here going against one of the best in the league in Steve Hutchinson, and more than holds his own right there. This is the old Pittsburgh Steelers 34 defense, but they don't play it anything like that here in Arizona.
Taking the spot occupied by Antonio Smith so well that he opted for the bigger contract and went to Houston. And pass to Berrien, and Berrien gets ridden out at the 38-yard line by Bryant McFadden, the former Steeler. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
It's amazing to me how these great quarterbacks can get a defense to show their blitz. That time Brett went with the hard count, and he's got him to show this blitz inside. You can see him all jumping up in there. Brett said, fine, I'll just raise up and throw it out to Berrien.
Harvin goes in motion. 3rd down and 4. Favre, good protection again, has time, finds the man, and that's Percy Harvin. So Harvin had lined up in the backfield, then went to the slot. From the 45, that pass is almost intercepted, and that's the second near pick tonight for Adrian Wilson.
Adrian Wilson having a monster game here. And one of the reasons that the Cardinals can get away with blitzing as much as they do is because Adrian Wilson on the outside is able to match up one-on-one against a hot tight end in Visante Shanko. And for Wilson, this is the second ball he's had his hands on and unable to make the pick. You know, Wilson was a cornerback coming out of college, ran under 4.5, and now is a pretty good coverage safety.
9th year in the National Football League. Cardinals since 2001. Second down and 10. Four-man rush. Brett fires over the middle and incomplete. In the direction of Bernard Berrien, covered well. Brian McFadden is there. Third down and 10 for the Vikings.
I'll tell you, we've seen some backup offensive linemen in this ball game doing a number tonight. Artis Hicks inside playing the guard position for Anthony Herrera has more than held his own all night long, and he's going up against some of the top defensive tackles in the game. This time Darnell Dockett one-on-one with space on either side. About as good as you can do it.
Rice and Harvin are split to the right. Berrien to the left. On third down and 10. Favre avoids the sack, then throws it over the middle, and this time it is picked off. Carlos Dansby with the interception. And so finally Brett Favre throws a pick. Look at this, 4 receivers to the left. They'll break that with Jason Wright coming into the backfield. And then Wright will take it to the right side, and he gets tackled after a gain of a couple by Mediu Williams, and we have a flag at the 43-yard line. Carlos Dansby, first interception of the season with the turnover.
Tripping, number 20, defense, 10-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
On the tackle, that's Williams who tripped him because it looked like Wright was going to get away from him.
Right. Tackling has been an issue for the safeties of the Vikings this year. Here Mediu Williams missed the tackle and just tripped him. Good call by the officials. You don't see it a lot, but it's clearly what he was doing.
45-yard line, first down. Hightower. And Hightower with some good, tough running behind the tight end, Ben Patrick, providing some leverage and coming up with a 9-yard gain to make it second down and 1.
These tight ends for the Cardinals have been doing a great job over here. Right there's Anthony Beck on the inside getting the block on Jared Allen. That was Ben Patrick on the outside looping in, and that run play has really been effective for him. In many ways, that single run play right there has been what's turned it around for the Cardinals.
They fake it to him. That buys some time for Warner. Warner's going deep for Fitzgerald, who's triple covered, and the pass is incomplete. Larry will draw a crowd, and he did right there. Williams, Johnson, and Sapp all in the area.
You know, I'm all for taking these deep shots, but triple coverage sometimes you may want to look somewhere else. Ben Patrick was wide open out in the flat, and you can see they know where Larry Fitzgerald is. 3 guys on him, and when you have a player like Larry Fitzgerald, sometimes the tight end gets a little lonely on the outside. Kurt usually finds him.
Third and 1. Beanie Wells is the running back, and Wells will try to get the first down, and he does. Good patience that time, waiting for the block to develop out in front of him instead of ramming into the right side of the offensive line, and threads his way for a first down for Ken Wisenhunt's team.
You talked about the patience, and there it was, going back to that 2 tight end side with Beck and Patrick. It took him a little while to get that block. So that time Beanie Wells just waited and found a little sliver of a hole and picked up the first down.
From the 34-yard line. And again to the outside. This is Wells. Takes it to the 28. Again, the storyline all week in Arizona was Kurt Warner. Would he play? Last week, after sustaining the concussion against St. Louis, it was a game-time decision on Sunday, or a game-day decision. Leinart got the start, and a lot of questions this week as to whether Kurt would play, and so far so good.
Yeah, and he was telling us that it was actually harder not to play, you know, because then you have to face all your teammates and the peer pressure. Come on, this is a tough game. You're supposed to be out there. He said, I had a much harder time not playing than deciding to play.
On 2nd and 4, it's the inside give to Wright. And the former Cleveland Brown takes it to the 20-yard line for a first down. Once in a while, they use Wright with special packages. He carries the ball from time to time. That was just his 2nd of the season.
If you're going to run this, you got to get your big guy on their big guy. Right there it is. Deuce Latui coming down against the Pro Bowler. That's Pat Williams, and he hung on there pretty good. But then it was the tight end, Ben Patrick, coming around to clean it up. How about the physical Arizona Cardinals? You ever think we'd be talking about that?
Yeah. Right, the 2 carries this year and 5 receptions. And spinning around is Wells, but he can't get away from the right side of the Minnesota defensive line. No gain.
Well, the one thing that a good running game will set up is play action, and there is nobody better than Kurt Warner in that category. We've seen him over the past several years completing huge numbers of passes when they have gotten that running game going. The problem is they just had not been that effective, but we've talked about it for the past month or so. They've been first rate.
Second and 10. Everybody goes out, all 5 receivers, and he finds early Doucette at the 14-yard line, tackled by Johnson, and that will make it 3rd down and 3. Play action passing over the last 2 years. The perfect rating is 158 and change, and his number would be the highest in the National Football League, along with that completion percentage. So that's 3 out of every 4 passes wind up in the hands of his receivers off play fakes.
Yeah, when you talk to Brett Favre about why he came back, and first words out of his mouth were Adrian Peterson. You know, quarterbacks love it when they get that running game going.
And again, they spread it out with 6 defensive backs in for Minnesota, and they batted away, and that's Pat Williams again, who's able to deflect it and make Arizona settle for a field goal attempt of what figures to be about 31 yards.
I tell you, the Minnesota Vikings defense has gotten a pretty good thing going here with these deflected balls. Sometimes those veteran defensive linemen just get a feel following the quarterback's eyes of where that release point is, because quarterbacks have to throw through defenders. There's no way they can throw over the top.
31-yard attempt for Rackers. Ben Graham will put it down. And the kick is good. Bouncing ball fielded by Percy Harvin. And Harvin will wiggle his way up to the 30-yard line. Bill Davis got elevated after last season. Clancy Pendergast was the defensive coordinator and got fired, went to Kansas City with Todd Haley, who had been the offensive coordinator. And Davis has taken over. And one of the things Ken Wisenhunt said earlier in the series, he said, hey, look, I was around Dick LeBeau in Pittsburgh. That's the kind of defense I wanted to run here. Percy Harvin makes that catch on the outside and takes it up to the 41-yard line. And that's caught on a slant, and this is Sidney Rice, who's been pretty quiet tonight, and all of a sudden trying to get a little noisy, and that's a first down, gain of 14. Favre said it reminds him of Charles Barkley. He goes up and he gets the rebound. And this time, busting through is Darnell Dockett. And the big nose tackle has been pretty quiet tonight, but a guy who had 3 sacks in the Super Bowl penetrates and knocks him down for a loss of 5.
You better try and do it a little quickly if you're going to try and come down on Darnell Dockett. You pull the guard, and he is too quick. He can get blocked. He can come stunning down to the inside and still make a play on one of the great players in the game.
Had a trio of sacks last week against Tennessee. Second down, 15. 4-man rush, and they get to him and sling him down. The ball is loose, but after the play was over, and that's Calais Campbell, number 93, who exhilarates the crowd. He's in the grasp here, so that ends the play. There's your whistle, and the rest of it's irrelevant.
How about the play by Calais Campbell, though, splitting the double team there. Ball is going to come out, but the whistle blew well before that, so definitely not a fumble. But Calais Campbell got off to a great start. Hasn't been quite as good lately, but that was impressive.
Third down, 24. Favre slings it over the middle, picked off at the 40-yard line. This is Michael Adams, and he takes the ball to the 44-yard line of Minnesota. So Brett Favre in those first 11 games through only 3 picks had not had a pass intercepted since the Pittsburgh game in late October. Now 2 on his last 2 third-down plays. Arizona from the 44. You got a flag here, and the pass is caught, and Fitzgerald takes it to the 19. But a marker is down at the line of scrimmage. John Parry gives us the call.
Offside. Defense, number 91. Penalties declined. Result of the play, 1st and 10, Arizona.
Second time that Edwards has jumped early tonight.
Well, Brett Favre is now making some misreads. Watch this one. You've got single high safety, which means the skinny post of Fitzgerald is going to be there. It's a great read by Kurt Warner. He's not missing any of these reads. Brett Favre on the other side has been really confused by the Arizona Cardinals defense. That has clearly been the difference in this game, and the fact that Brett Favre and the Vikings have not been able to run the football against Arizona. Adrian Peterson has been a non-factor, so right now they're just dropping back in those throwing lanes and confusing Brett Favre.
Terrell Johnson, the starting safety on the other side of Medea Williams, is hurt. There he is on the bench. Jamarcus Sanford, a rookie out of Mississippi, picked in the 7th round, now comes in. He's number 33. And on the ground, this is Pat Williams making the tackle. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Beanie Wells, no gain. You know, Chris, you look at this game tonight, what's odd is that Cardinals are running the ball effectively, 4.7 per rush, but who would have guessed Minnesota 2.6 yards per carry.
It's been what has made them dominant this year. They've been able to do both. They can run the ball with Adrian Peterson and then play action off of it, but when you don't have the running game going, you just have to drop back and throw it.
2nd and 11. Here's Fitzgerald, and he's able to take the ball to the 12-yard line. For Larry, facing the Vikings brings back a lot of memories. His dad in the media in the Minneapolis area, so he spent a lot of time in Vikings camp as a ball boy, and Chris Carter was there, and Randy Moss was there, and Dennis Green was there. So he grows up in Minnesota, knows all about pro football, and there's his proud dad. Winds up going to the University of Pittsburgh, and nobody ever had a better 4-game postseason than he did.
Larry likes ice cream sandwiches.
Yes, he does.
So do I. I'm getting a little hungry watching that.
Low fat.
No question.
3rd and 4. Fitzgerald 100 yards receiving tonight, 104 to be precise, and that pass is overthrown, intended for Steve Bruston, and that will bring in Rackers.
Well, I tell you, the one thing the Vikings have been doing here in the last few drives, though, is keeping the Arizona Cardinals out of the end zone. This has been more than a little bit one-sided, but I remind you that this Minnesota Vikings offense, even though you haven't really seen it tonight, has been one of the most explosive in all the league, so that if they can just get it going a little bit, there's no question they can come back.
30-yard attempt for Rackers to make it a 3-possession game, and that kick is good. 17-point game. Here is the kick. Percy Harvin, who can be electric on runbacks, up past the 20, then gets, with a flag down, tripped up by Sean Morey. Get the call here from John Parry before Minnesota begins this drive.
And just another killer mistake.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 59 of the return team. Half the distance, 1st and 10,
Heath Farwell.
Minnesota.
First down, Favre with a play fake, swings it to the outside, and The pass is incomplete.
I'll tell you, for Brett Favre, what has not been a thrill so far tonight is 3rd and long. He has really struggled. They've had it 5 times tonight, and he is 0 for 5 with 2 interceptions. When you can't run the football, you create big problems for you offensively.
2nd and 10, and he'd have to affect the biggest comeback ever. Down by 17, he slings it to Rice on the outside, and Rogers Cromartie makes that tackle. It'll be 3rd down and 2 for the Vikings.
One of the things that Brett Favre can do to try and move a defense is a pump fake. Watch this. I don't know how the ball doesn't fly out on these quarterbacks when they do that, but Brett Favre has one of the largest hands of any quarterback in the game. I remember them telling me they actually measured his hand and couldn't believe how big it was. His grip on the ball is something I can't even do.
3rd and a deuce. And they'll move the chains on the pass that's caught by Berrien.
There it is. There's that grip we saw in the pregame warm-up. Now, when I grip the football, my fingers can maybe go to about right there on the ball and still hold it. He has it almost all the way to the end of the laces on both sides. And for some reason, I guess all those cold weather games, it's made a difference. His ability to hold on to it.
1st down at the 21-yard line. Favre rolling. He's had a lot of success on rollouts this season. That is good for a 1st down as he moves it up the field to Bernard Berrien. Gets tackled by Roll with 1.5 minutes to go in the quarter.
Well, we told you about Jimmy Kleinsaucer, who is a tight end right there, but he's really, in effect, the 6th offensive lineman. Check out this kind of protection. Gives Brett all day out there on the outside and allows him to find his receiver back across the grain. Brett's going to have to get hot on early downs. Those 3rd and longs have been eating him up.
From the 33, Peterson, and he can barely get out of the backfield again as Carlos Dansby makes the tackle. That's no gain. And Peterson tonight has carried the ball 11 times for 16 yards.
It is just so hard to catch these speedy linebackers of the Arizona Cardinals. That time Steve Hutchinson on the backside tried to cut off Carlos Dansby and just couldn't get there. Big difference maker in this defense. When he was out of the game last week against the Titans, you could just see the difference.
2nd and 10. Short drop, and he throws into a lot of traffic and threads the needle as he hits Sidney Rice for a 1st down. So Favre leading the team up the field on a very important drive in a 3-possession game. Started at their own 8-yard line. As we start the 4th quarter, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer. Minnesota marching. Big drive for them. They're down by 17, and Favre will sling it to the right side and incomplete. What does this game mean in terms of the standings? Very interesting developments today. First, when you take a look at the division leaders, New Orleans with that comeback win against Washington, beating them in overtime. Minnesota, if they lose tonight, 2 games back. Dallas in the East is on top by virtue of the tiebreak with Philadelphia. Both are 8-4. And Arizona gets a break today when the 49ers lose to Seattle. Give them a little breathing space there. And they go to San Francisco next Monday. 2nd and 10 from the 45. And Favre to the outside. The coverage is good after a very short gain as the catch is made by Chester Taylor.
Oh, we've seen so many different looks out of this Arizona Cardinals defense, and obviously the deeper in the progression that you go of downs, the more complex you can get. And now here we are again with this 3rd and 5, and really Carlos Dansby has been the key guy, number 58, right in the middle of your screen there. He's the guy that is trying to disguise it the most, and he's been giving Brett fits.
3rd and 5. 4-man rush. Pressure on Favre. Brett gets sacked at the 44-yard line. Bertrand Berry, in his 12th year in the National Football League, rings one up.
Bertrand Berry at one time, one of the best pass rushers in all of football right here, working against McKinney, just sort of bull rushes him right back into Brett. But I'm telling you, Brett's uncomfortable right now. You can see him. There have been some guys open out there on the field, and typically Brett has found them all year, but not tonight. Second Arizona sack. Cluey's punt. Preston lets it go, and into the end zone it goes. And there's a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. And it's all third down. It is every time they get in a third and long situation, it has been a different look. It's like a pitcher with 7 different pitches. Both picks tonight for Favre have come on third down plays.
Holding on the return team during the kick. That penalty be enforced from the 20-yard line. 1st and 10.
From the 9. Warner gets planted but does get the ball away, and that's Jared Allen with his 12.5 sacks, just missing 13.5. Sooner or later, number 69 will be in your face. You know, Jared Allen right there on the end is going to go right through the double team here, and that time Bridges was unable to get back inside against him. And sometimes when your offense is struggling, your defense has to find a way to make a play, and maybe Jared Allen is getting loose here. And on second down, Brian Robinson comes right in, swallows up Beanie Wells. Yeah, that was almost a fumble on that one. We just talked about the possibility of your defense turning things around for you. See if Beanie Wells gets his handoff cleanly. There's Robinson right there, and I mean, he was very close to timing that one out perfectly and creating a fumble. Now the Vikings really need a play defensively. 3rd and 12. 5 receivers. Swings it out to the rookie, Lerod Stevens howling, and he'll be stopped well short of the first down. Jamarcus Sanford jaws with him, and Arizona will punt. Well, that was just what the doctor ordered right there, a 3 and out for this defense. And of course, Kurt Warner now is, you know, you've got to be a little conservative with your game plan, and you could tell the entire difference with the play calling in that situation with this lead. They're going to turn it back over to their defense, and why not? They've been incredible tonight. Ben Graham to punt. Graham averaging 35 yards on his 2 boots thus far. Wobbly kick. It takes a good Cardinal bounce. And Renaud will try to get around the corner and can. And I'll tell you what, that Stevens howling, not only a good run back man, but has done a great job on special teams. Ball is at the 40-yard line as this Minnesota drive begins with Adrian Peterson, a 4-yard gain, 2nd down and 6, and we'll go back to that last pick. We talked about some of the confusion for Brett Favre, and here you're going to see man under coverage right here. But this is Carlos Dansby, a linebacker, who's going to sync up as these safeties split. So there's really no place for Brett Favre to go down the middle of the field. And yet, because you have your linebacker back there in the hole, he just didn't recognize it and threw the interception. Dansby had played a lot of safety in college as Shanko makes the catch. So Shanko, who scored the touchdown, is also shaken up on the play and down on his hands and knees, as he's been pretty quiet since that opening drive. If I remember correctly, I think Shanko had some rib issues coming into this game. Yep. And I saw him put his hands sort of, yeah. I'm going to make a wild guess and say that hurt. It's off the board. It's such a good guess. From the 46-yard line. Favre throws. Peterson has to make the catch, but he was down on his knee. And springs forward for a couple of more yards. That's a gain of 6. Ken Wisenhunt, remember at Pittsburgh, the offensive coordinator when they won the Super Bowl under Bill Cowher after the 05 season, then gets this job. Everybody thought it was either Wisenhunt or Russ Grimm who would succeed Cowher, but they went to Minnesota and wound up, of course, with Mike Tomlin, and that worked out pretty well. And it's worked out pretty well for Wisenhunt, too, in his 3rd year here. 2nd and 5. And that pass is incomplete.
Wow. That has to be interference.
Well, Rice thinks so, but nobody else does. Rogers Cromartie with the coverage.
Dominic Rogers-Cromartie, inside man coverage. He definitely got there early. That's a no-brainer right there, and that hurts because now you're back in 3rd and medium here, and this has been where Arizona's been killing the Vikings tonight. Might be 4 down territory right here too, so maybe you have some options you wouldn't have otherwise.
3rd and 5 from the 40. Cardinals moving around. And down goes Favre, and this time it's Burt Berry again. Second sack for Berry.
We've seen Bertrand Berry go up the field and then loop back underneath again, but it's the coverage on the outside that's making the difference. They tried to get the ball in the flat to the running back, and simply there was nobody there. And as he turned up the field, that was Percy Harvin. There was nowhere to go.
3 sacks tonight for the Cardinals, and that kick cannot be downed before it goes into the end zone. Kurt Warner tonight, 20 of 29, 246, and those 3 touchdowns as he throws over the middle, and it's caught by Fitzgerald. And he'll take it up to the 39-yard line. So they may milk the clock, but they'll do it by throwing the ball downfield.
Well, we talked about the play action and what it does. Watch the little move that Larry Fitzgerald makes at the end of this route. He's going to make him look like he's going to the corner, comes right back to it, and there's really no way Griffin can get him covered on that one.
And Griffin with a collision with E.J. Henderson on the play, and he gets hurt. So there's Griffin reaching for the left side of his head, and he's still down. And they're already minus, of course, Antoine Winfield, and Griffin is shaken up. Kurt Warner, we talked about how hot he's been. Chicago, Seattle, and then St. Louis, the game in which he sustained the concussion, off last week because of that. And tonight, right up there again, as hot as you can be, and he gives the ball to Hightower, who takes it up to the 39-yard line. Beanie Wells stopped at the line of scrimmage, and the clock inexorably ticks down. Well, I guess the clock always inexorably, whatever. You know what I mean.
Not when you're winning, though. But the Cardinals, remember, this is a team now defensively. They gave up 532 yards to the Titans last week. And flip it over, this Vikings offense had 537 yards of offense against the Bears. And tonight it has just been a completely different story.
And Adrian Peterson has been held to 20 yards on 12 carries. 3rd and 9. Warner fires. Here's Fitzgerald to the 40-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. Tackled by Jamarcus Sanford. Fresh set of downs and more time coming off the clock.
Well, it's the protection. It's just the protection. Watch Beanie Wells and Jeremy Bridges once again taking care of business on the outside there. This is a route for Larry Fitzgerald that takes a good 4 seconds to get down the field. He's about 18 yards down the field, and you don't do that against good pass rushing teams. But this offensive line has simply gotten it done all night long.
Larry Fitzgerald with 8 catches for 143 yards. And Bolden with 7 catches for 98 yards. Here's Wells. And the Ohio State rookie, 3rd running back drafted in that 1st round. Chad Greenway makes the stop. Well, the Bidwell family has owned this team for a long, long time, going back to Chicago. father Bill and son Michael, and it's been an arduous and tough road. And moved the team from St. Louis to Arizona, had no success here, and then all of a sudden, bang! They get to the Super Bowl and shock everybody. And right now, they're on the verge of going to 8-4 and winning another Western Division title. 2nd and 6. To the outside, Hightower still on his feet and takes it all the way to the 5-yard line. Medea Williams and Hightower in a little bit of a push and shove, and that's won by Hightower on every level, 31 yards.
Just overwhelming, and I love this 2 tight end set that they're doing. Watch these 2 guys out here. Block down, create the wall, bounce it outside. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers. You get the full impact now of what Ken Wisenhunt brought over from Pittsburgh with Russ Grimm, and it has just been devastating. You can see they're learning the system. They're learning how to play the game now, and Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald blocking on the outside. They've been great.
E.J. Henderson is hurt. Injury timeout. Well, the Cardinals now, as play resumes, have a 1st down and goal at the 4-yard line after that Hightower run of 32 yards. And Kurt Warner on 1st and goal with 5:48 and counting down. Hands the ball off, and they give it to Hightower again. You got a flag. Move Arizona back.
Number 76 offense, 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
Deuce Latui.
Well, I tell you, it really changes a lot. I'm sitting here trying to calculate in my mind how much the injury to E.J. Henderson changes things for the Minnesota Vikings at this point. This defense, not so good tonight, obviously, and they've got some injuries in the secondary. But defensively, they have just been tremendous. And the heart and soul of that defense, sort of like Brian Urlacher would be with the Chicago Bears, is E.J. Henderson. And he was playing at such a high level over the past month or so. I'm sure that Leslie Frazier is sick over there on that
His backup is a rookie. As 2-yard carry here. Jasper Brinkley is the backup to him, number 54, and he was drafted in the 5th round out of South Carolina.
And just so people understand, there's essentially a defensive coordinator. He gets the calls from the coaches coming in, and then he makes all the checks at the line of scrimmage based on which formation, which front, and all those things. He has to work with the safety on the back end to make the calls. And most defensive coordinators will tell you the one guy they never want to see get hurt is that Mike Backer, and that's exactly who we're talking about in E.J. Henderson.
2nd down and goal. The ball is at the 13. Wells can get it to the 10-yard line. And Minnesota will take a timeout with 4:28.
Sometimes the easiest thing to do with a young linebacker is to blitz him. And that time, Brinkley shot through there and almost made the play in the backfield.
Never thought of it in those terms. Instead of
don't sit back and read.
Instead of coverage, right? And then reading, just get in there, charge.
Just go get them, except for the one thing about this Minnesota defense is they don't usually blitz many linebackers. You know, that's not their game. Their game is to let the front 4 get there. They haven't tonight, but they typically do, and then drop everybody in coverage.
Yeah. When you have those 4 guys up front, you don't have to blitz a lot.
Yeah, it was interesting talking to some of those guys. Jared Allen was saying the linebackers actually get mad at that front 4 because they make so many tackles, their stats are down at the linebacker position.
The linebackers can't get any sacks. 3rd and goal at the 11-yard line. And Warner to the back of the end zone and too high for Larry Fitzgerald. Threw a bullet right down the middle, and it's 4th and goal.
And that's saying something. If you say something's too high for Larry Fitzgerald, that means it probably went through the uprights.
Kurt took a shot right there, and he's walking off a little gimpy.
Boy, I tell you, I think some of the frustration now starting to show for the Vikings. They're taking any shot they can get on Kurt Warner.
Warner had off-season hip surgery too. Came off wobbling. 29-yard attempt here for Neil Records. He racks up 3 more with 4:18 remaining. Arizona leading Minnesota by a score of 30-10. This is a short kick to the 30-yard line, and then Dugan gets whacked. And flags come in. That shot was taken by Kenny Webama, number 91.
Then Kenny
After the play, personal foul, number 55 of the receiving team. 15-yard penalty, 1st and 10.
That was Kenny Onatolu.
You did it better than I did. There's the legal shot.
Yeah.
There comes the illegal shot.
Just call him Kenny.
Yeah. We were 0 for 2 on that one. But he is their best special teams player, so what the heck, we'll give him a little pump anyway.
Sure. From the 16 on 1st down. Favre throws underneath, and this is Peterson. And they'll give them all the short gains they want here as Wilson makes the stop, and Minnesota has to go no huddle. Vikings have 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning, but they're down by 20. And that pass is incomplete. Peterson gets hit after his 13th carry for a total of 19 yards.
I tell you, I cannot be any more impressed with Arizona tonight. You're seeing all kinds of stunts here. I think this is Dansby here coming around that stunt that time by Darnell Dockett, and they have just stuffed the running game of the Minnesota Vikings.
And the Vikings going on 4th and 2. And Favre trying to extend any chance they have, and he does as Rice makes the catch up the 32-yard line for a 1st down.
Here's what I think makes it so difficult to play against the Arizona Cardinals defense. They essentially have 4 cornerbacks back there in the secondary. Of course, the 2 corners that are playing, McFadden and Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, but Adrian Wilson used to be a corner, and so did Antrell Roll, so they can match up with anybody.
And that's a nice catch made up at the 45, and Sidney Rice is stopped at the 46, 1st down.
And that's really how Minnesota has beaten teams over the years. I mean, you have to try and take away Adrian Peterson, of course, but they can also spread you out, and most teams don't have enough corner types to be able to match up with them. Well, the Arizona Cardinals have tonight, and they've done a beautiful job of it.
From the 46. Adrian Peterson, and that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Chris, it's amazing there was no hangover. I mean, that was a gut-wrenching loss last week for the Cardinals in Tennessee. Had the game won. Titans started at their own 1-yard line, 4 4th downs on the series, and they win the game at the end on a pass to Kenny Britt. And yet they come back as Chester Taylor picks up 9. You have to have a very short memory.
Yep, and I'll tell you what, the Arizona Cardinals now have a chance to clinch this division next week. 49ers and Seahawks both at 5 and 7. The 49ers did have a win over Arizona the first game of the year.
Taylor. And the difference is this year as opposed to last year, they limped into the playoffs. Weak division, looked horrible at the end of the year, played that horrendous game in New England, and then all of a sudden, you know, came in here, beat Atlanta. As you look at 3 straight 500 or better seasons for the first time since they were back in St. Louis.
I tell you, I think that Arizona has a chance to continue to improve, though. I mean, we're seeing now this offensive line is definitely getting better, and the 2 running backs in the running game, especially now with that 2 tight end set, they're starting to run the ball more effectively. We've talked about what Kurt Warner can do in that play-action game.
Favre slings it to the end zone. Touchdown, Harvin. So the rookie out of Florida gets free over the middle on a post, 31 yards and a touchdown.
This is the same play through the interception on earlier, only this time you get the matchup here, but no middle linebacker back here in the hole. So this is the right read. Brett gets this one and ends up hitting it for the touchdown against the split safeties. That's really what we've been seeing out of the Vikings all year, but not tonight and not against this defense.
Longwell for the point after. And so Minnesota scores early and then late. Onside kick attempt here. Even if Fitzgerald back there. And that will go out of bounds. And of course, it creates a flag, and Larry Fitzgerald. That's when you put the good hands people in, when 11's out there.
I'm not putting them out there 30-17. It's a little too valuable for me to do that.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Kickoff out of bounds on the kicking team. That penalty's been declined. Offside on the kicking team, number 55. That penalty will be enforced from the out of bounds spot. 1st and 10.
And that should, for all practical purposes, do it. Minnesota down to 1 timeout. And with that pass rating tonight, 120 plus in 4 straight games. Johnny Unitas up there, 2nd player in NFL history. Yeah, we understand. There are a few guys that don't understand. Pass rating doesn't, it's complicated. Right. But the bottom line is it's comparative. When you don't say a guy's 3 for 3 and whatever the pass rating is. We know that's garbage. We understand that. Some people don't. It goes up there as a way to compare. It's everything but perfect. It's very imprecise in some ways, but you know what it says? It says the guy's had 4 great games, right?
Well, I tell
That's
you
what it says.
Tell you what it tells me. When your name's next to Johnny Unitas' name in any graphic, that means you're doing something right.
Yeah, but you got to read this garbage about. Announcers are always talking about pass ratings. Come on,
quit reading.
Stop it already. You're right.
I tell you what, though. It is some special night for the Arizona Cardinals. Here's the only thing I'd be concerned about. I've been watching Kurt Warner, who had the bad hip earlier in the season, has been sort of massaging and rubbing that spot, but Brenna doesn't care right now. She's having fun. That is a good feeling to knock off this football team as hot as they have been and do it this decisively.
And that kneel down will do it. So Kurt Warner, a question mark this week. Would he or won't he play? Comes off the concussion. Great deal of mutual respect. That's a mutual admiration society for either quarterback. They've earned it through the years. Good night for Warner. Not a good night for Favre. Great night for the Arizona defense. Big night for Fitzgerald and Golden as receivers. Run game good enough for Arizona. And the Cardinals will take an 8-4 record to San Francisco next week.